All right, it's Wednesday. It is time, as always, at this time on a Wednesday, for the crossover with Don Taylor and Rick Dhaliwal, Donnie and Dhali, which you can check out Monday to Friday, 10 to noon on Check TV. And they join us now for the crossover. Don, Rick, how's it going?
Very well, very well. Yogi's in charge of the power play now. Have I got that right? Shevchovsky?
Yeah.
In charge of the Canucks power play?
I don't think so. Not full time. I think it's still Talkit, with Yogi consulting on it, much like the Twins did last year.
Okay, I thought Talkit said that he'd handed the reins over.
Yeah, I thought he.
Thomas, you might want to check on this.
Why don't you check on that, Thomas?
I will, but I'm pretty confident I'm right, boys. So
it's a real change. What else is new?
I will check. I will check.
Drance is confident that he's right.
I will check on the thing you're wrong about, though, boys. Just want you to know.
Okay. Hey, listen. A Donnie and Dhali hat. Okay, it is coming your way if indeed you're right. But we get your pumpkin if we're right. The pumpkin behind you.
The hard work of Canberra. Although I don't know if you're going to want that pumpkin in like a couple days' time, Donnie. It's going to be pretty rough by tomorrow.
I don't know if you want the hat.
Canberra really made that?
He did.
He really carved it.
He's been in here propping it up with toothpicks and stuff. I know, multi-talented, not just a program director.
Very impressive. Very impressive.
Well, if he's your boss, he probably has nothing else to do.
Apparently, this place runs itself. He's got time to sit here and carve pumpkins.
You guys run the station. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we were just kind of talking. I mean, obviously, it's the Hughes Bowl at Rogers Arena tonight. You know, the Canucks 11 points through their first 8 games, but I don't know if you guys have sensed this. That's a good mark, 11 points in 8 games, but it still feels like the fans and I think the team itself is kind of not entirely satisfied, that they're wanting more, but the vibes don't quite seem right so far this season through the Canucks. Are you guys getting that same sense that we are?
Well, Rick Tocchet, along with talking about Yogi and the power play, he mentioned that the one thing that really sticks in his craw, among other things, but team-wide, they haven't been great at home in terms of their record anyway. And, the 3 shootout / overtime losses. So, yeah, on the road, pretty good against some inferior talent, inferior teams. But at home, I thought that game with Carolina was entertaining, mostly because I was blown away by Carolina and their speed. That was really, really impressive. But the results haven't been there at home, especially when you talk about blowing late leads on home ice, which you're not supposed to do. So there's definitely a level or two to get to. And you can tell when you hear him talk after a game, you can tell that he feels that there's a long way to go with this group.
Yeah, and that's the great thing you love about Tocchet. After a win, he never lets you get complacent. He never says, even after the biggest win of the year, he'll say, we got to be better. We got to be better. He never lets this group get complacent. They are 1-0-3 at home, so Donnie's correct about the home record. But that Carolina team was so fun to watch. I know for 50 minutes they controlled everything. But their transition game, the way they went up the ice on Vancouver mistakes, 2 times defenseman pinched. They went up the ice real quick. They scored. Desharnais gives the puck away at center, and they turn around, transition up the ice, 3-on-2s, 2-on-1s. Boy, that Carolina team was really fun to watch. If the Canucks have said this, management-wise, 2 summers in a row. They've said 2 summers in a row, we got to get faster. And now you know why. You see teams like Carolina and you think, man, we got a long way to go before we get our team speed to where they are.
What's amazing, too, is that was a fun team to watch is not something that's often been said about Rod Brindamore's Carolina Hurricanes. That team looks like they might have an extra offensive gear this season, which is a scary thought for the other contenders in the Eastern Conference. Gentlemen, as much as we are praising what we saw from Carolina on Monday, I mean, Kevin Lankinen holds the Canucks in that game. Where would this team be, Rick, without Lankinen in net?
It's a great question. They'd be in a whole lot of trouble because at that time when they were looking for goaltenders, here's the budget the Canucks had. $850, right? The only other way to get a goaltender at that time was a trade. And then, okay, now we got to give up assets to get a goaltender we want. The only reason Kevin Lankinen was available, guys, is because the team, and there was a handful of teams after him. Vancouver wasn't the only team. There were teams like Colorado poking around. But the only problem was that teams had told the agent, we will get Kevin Lankinen if we can make a trade, if we can free up cap space. And there were teams that were saying our LTIR situation is holding us back. Nobody wants to go on LTIR way before the season. So there was issues why he was available. The timing was great. The Canucks' persistence was great. They outweighted the agent. They did a great job in getting this guy. But there's something that Talk had said yesterday that just tells you about the character of Lankinen. After the Carolina game, he came in early and he started talking with the coaches, video work with the goalie coach. You know what? The guy played a great game last night, got the Canucks a point when they probably didn't deserve one, and he's in next morning early doing video work with the goalie coach. This guy was a really good find by the Canucks. They didn't have a ton of options at the time. They stuck in there, and they never gave up on giving the guy, and they're paying dividends right now.
Yeah, and the other thing he does that, and you know this, Thomas, that Rick Tocchet does every time Lankinen plays, especially after they win, talks about his puck handling.
Yes,
and people forget what a good puck handler Kirk McLean was back in the day. I don't know how many goaltenders the Canucks have had that can handle the puck that well since then, but Lankinen's pretty good at that, and you can tell that Tocchet really appreciates that extra dimension that Lankinen
loves that.
Lankinen hands out, and hats off to Canucks management. And we don't always do that on this show. But to get Lankinen and then Brandstrom
so negative,
as well.
You guys, always slamming management on your show.
Deals, well, Rick is anyway. No. Deals that I think most people just kind of glossed over when they were made. Like, okay, the Pullman deal, and you got to take Brandstrom, and he hasn't worked out. He's not that big. They look like really solid pickups.
Yep, they do.
Yeah, and Brandstrom's interesting, too, because it didn't seem like he was really in their immediate plans, and then the forward situation, he gets a chance, and now I think it's going to be really difficult to take him out, even when Forbort's ready to go. Just on the goaltending situation, it looks like Archer Shilovs is going to get the start tonight, and I don't want to put too much pressure on him, but it does feel like a pretty important start given how Lankinen ran with the opportunity, how Shilov's first couple of starts went, and now this is a dangerous, attacking New Jersey team that he's getting in against. And I'm sure as happy as you are with Lankinen, you would love to be in a spot where you're confident with both goalies, where you can have the split a little bit more even. And I think this is a big one tonight for Shilovs to kind of prove that, hey, this should be more of an even split. I should still get my fair share of starts here, too.
What a pleasant problem for the Canucks. Yeah. And who would have guessed this? That, they bring in Lankinen at his price tag and seems to be taking the job away from Artur Silovs. Interesting tonight that he plays. When I was looking at the schedule, I was thinking, okay, Lankinen played well. I know they lost, but played well against Carolina. 4 games before that, 4 wins before that. I just assumed it would be Lankinen tonight, Rick. Yep. And then, they play a weak San Jose. By the way, did you see that crowd in San Jose last night?
10,000.
A weak San Jose team on Saturday, and that would be Shilov's start, but he goes with Archer Shilovs tonight.
Well, you could have given Shilovs the start Saturday in San Jose or Tuesday in Anaheim, but the problem is he's already had 2 weeks off. 2 weeks ago was his last start. You got to get the guy a start. You could have played him San Jose. Anaheim's coming up. They got a pretty easy schedule that way. But you know what? Here's the great thing for the Canucks. No matter when Demko comes back, these two guys, they're holding the fort, right? They're holding the fort. And you can't say on many nights goaltending's been an issue for the Canucks. And the best news this week was Tocchet saying yesterday that Demko's had 4 straight days, really good days, right? I told you guys that I heard he was making progress last week and that he had good days last week as well. Tocchet said this week as well, last 4. Would it surprise anybody if Demko's back in 2 or 3 weeks? I don't think so. I think, let's see where it goes. We don't. Here's the great thing about Demko. Nobody's got an end date. It really is week to week, and we just got to wait. But it looks like there's some positivity there with Demko.
Is there, though? Because it was the exact same tone that the club had in September, Rick. I mean, and what happened in the intervening month? Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not feeling a lot of positivity given the sort of lack of progress in the team's statements about the player. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense because we've been doing this since mid-August, right? Mid-August is when we found out that Demko, his rehab has gone
when I called you on my bike.
Way slower. Bike?
Yeah, I called you on my bike.
What do you mean?
I was on my way back from the pool.
Obviously didn't register with Rick that you were on your bike.
Yeah, we're sorting through it in mid-August.
I do not remember.
Biking and swimming. Biking and swimming.
Let me put it to you this way nicely. I don't remember any time Thomas calls me. And we do talk quite a bit. We do call.
Flush it.
Will you let me finish the story?
I was on my bike.
What kind of bike? Mountain bike? What kind of bike? Mountain bike?
It's a city bike.
Don't get distracted,
One of those
Rick.
old-fashioned ones with a big
Don't
wheel.
get distracted.
I like really small bikes. Little bikes only. It was a mini
10-speed or
like a circus clown.
BMX, Thomas. Anyways,
7-speed.
Where I
really
lost
small.
my train of thought.
Demko.
No, I still forgot. We've been.
You know what? I forgot too.
Okay, I got it. Look at mid-August is when we heard first.
About Thomas riding a bike.
We first heard.
I was riding my bike when we heard.
Donnie, will you let me see? Now Donnie's not letting me finish. Mid-August is when we first heard that. Look, it's going slow, and he might not be ready for training camp or preseason games. And now look at guys. September's passed. October's passed, and guys, we're into November here in a couple of days, and this guy's still not ready, right? So it's and if you go back to the Nashville game where he got hurt, what are we 7-8 months into this now? Yeah. You know, and before that he didn't play for 2 months, and he came back in the one game. Like, this guy has not legit played a game in a long super time. But I will tell you, Thomas, I am hearing. Just like Talkett, there is positivity there, and I am
hope
hearing.
Talkett's hearing it.
Yeah. And the way Talkett said it was 4 really good days. Like I get you, Thomas. They keep saying he's around the corner and he never shows up.
Can I just say something here? I have a friend who's a soccer player, an old soccer player, and believe it or not, he has had this popliteus muscle issue.
Wow. And
he says it is really, but maybe we should get him on the show.
How long was he out?
He says it still bothers him.
There you go.
It's in behind the knee, and of course he's not getting the rehab that Thatcher Demko is. But he says it's really, really painful. And that pain in behind, then he's older now and arthritis and all that stuff. But he said he had it then, and he's not sure what's bothering him now. Is it arthritis or the popliteus? Because it's very similar pain. And he says it is really tough to deal with.
And Thomas, quickly, let me get this in. We don't have another goaltender who had this, where he was out 6 to 9 months. So
Who's we, by the way?
No, I'm just saying we don't have a comparison. We don't have a comparable to, let's say, we don't have a comparable that says that another goaltender had this and they were out 6 to 9 months. We don't have any sort of comparable to another goaltender who's
My soccer friend.
Yeah. How long was your soccer friend out?
He's still bothered by it.
Yeah,
it's
still out. But
decades.
Rick,
decades.
Your point about the positivity, I mean, it's good to hear, but I think it was either last week or the week before with you when we were talking, the problem has been
I know that.
He hasn't been able to ramp up.
Saying,
right? So I think until he gets beyond, he's had some good days in a row, and we see that next step, I think it's hard to really get excited about it, right? Until he takes those next steps here. Go ahead.
I'm curious to get your gentleman's take on this because the Canucks have mostly played pretty well, right? They have points in 7 of their 8 games played, and yet there's something about the conversation around this team. Whether it's the sort of constant focus on Pettersson or the Demko uncertainty or sort of the goalless streak whack-a-mole that has sort of hit Jake DeBrusk now this week, where it just feels like there's some lingering concern or something in the market. Maybe it's a reaction to higher expectations. Maybe it's that the team just, for all the good results hasn't quite cracked into gear yet. But what's your take on why it feels like the conversation around this team is almost one shaded by disappointment, despite the fact that they've actually picked up points at a pretty high clip?
I think it's what you just talked about, and that's the higher expectations. If this was 2, maybe even just 1 year ago, let's say, I think people would be pretty happy with what they've seen so far. But the expectations are higher, given the 109 points last year, what they did in the playoffs, coming within a win of knocking off the Oilers. There's just another level, and I actually think it's a positive sign that I don't think, and nobody thinks, I'm sure, Jamie and Thomas, you feel the same way. I don't think they've played their best yet, but they've got a point, as you mentioned, Thomas, in 7 of their last 8 games. That's a positive. But having said all of that, you can tell just by talking post-game gatherings, and they're always so informative. I just love listening to him talking, even after practices, that he feels this team can get way better. And, hey, look who's missing, right? Joshua, Demko, Pettersson isn't there yet. DeBrusk isn't there yet. There's definitely another level to get to, but I think if you want to call it disappointment, it starts with the higher expectations, which aren't necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, and so where were we 13 months ago? The president of this hockey club said we're only going to make the playoffs if everything goes right, right? Yeah. Then they start out 10-2-1. And so 13 months ago, no one had any expectations in this market for this hockey club. Most people, most media fans picked them not to make the playoffs. Now they go one game away from the Western Conference Final, and guess what? Donnie's right. The expectations are high. They're much, much bigger, but they lost some key components. I still think the Zadorov, I'm looking at the third pair. I know you guys are talking about Brandstrom, but, Desharnais going to be a healthy scratch again tonight, guys. I don't think you can't sign guys in today's NHL and say they're going to be projects at the NHL level. Projects are in the American League in Abbotsford. And this guy's clearly a project. Yep, they committed $2 million to him, and now he's going to be healthy scratch tonight for the second time.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between like a Daniel Sprong project, right, where it's 1 year below $1 million and 2 years $2 million for Desharnais. Like, I agree with you, Rick. That's pretty rich for a project, and I get it. We talked yesterday, Drance, and look, he's a big right shot defenseman. Those guys are expensive, but you also look at it, and they're having so many problems moving the puck with those two bottom pairs. Desharnais in and out of the lineup. It kind of feels like it's only a matter of time before they try to swing a trade and get somebody in who can help them move the puck a little bit better. Because I don't know if the Desharnais project is going to turn around quickly enough here to solve that issue for the team.
Yeah, I don't know how quick they thought it was going to be. Sorry, Thomas, but
please
go
ahead. Go. No, you.
Well, I was just going to say, and we talked about this on the show today, when it comes to Desharnais, I think he is. I think they acquired him, and they knew he had a long way to go in terms of improving in order to become a National Hockey League player, that there is some experimentation here, and that he is somewhat of a project in that, look who's on their coaching staff. Adam Foote and Sergei Gonchar. And if ever there was a team with a couple of coaches who could help somebody like him, like Desharnais, reach his potential, it's this team. So I think there's somewhat of a project status with him, but last game was tough.
Yeah. And I'd just add, I do think that when you're a 6'7" right-handed defenseman, 2 times 2 is the equivalent of
Daniel Sprong
of 1 times 8 for a scoring forward, like that, a scoring winger. Excuse me, right? Like it's the same bet. It's just that 6'7" right-handed defenders are going to come at a premium cost. So we'll see. He seemed to stabilize his game playing with Brandstrom, I thought. But obviously that was a little bit of a setback again on Monday against Carolina.
Rick, just before we let you guys go, are you hearing anything about the Canucks looking out there for options on the blue line?
Yeah, that's out there, and hearing as well. But again, so what do you do now? Are you looking for a top 4 defenseman in the second pair, or are you looking for a guy in the third pair on the right side who's an everyday NHL player, and you don't have to go in and out of the lineup with.
They're going to be hunting, I think, much of the season for a top 4 upgrade.
Second pair guy, yeah.
But I do think ultimately, given the demand around the league for players that match that description and how few teams are actually willing to sell them, I do think, if we see this team swing a quicker deal like in November, the way they have in consecutive seasons, by the way, Zadorov last year, Ethan Bear the year prior, I do think they might be relegated to having to shop in that sort of like reclamation upside bet bin as opposed to bringing in a more established guy. Just because, I mean, you know, you might have thought like, hey, Mackenzie Weegar and Rasmus Anderson in Calgary. Well, Calgary's playing pretty decent hockey, and you know, you might have thought, hey, maybe St. Louis. Well, St. Louis is playing pretty decent hockey, so it's going to take some time to shake out here. Meanwhile, just about every team in the league is looking for a right-handed top four defenseman, as usual.
No kidding.
Business as usual in the NHL.
And but the Canucks did something last year, and Jim Rutherford's got a history of doing this. He gets ahead of it, right? He targets a guy, gets ahead of it, gets aggressive. But again, so the Canucks had no first or second round draft pick this past summer, right? Can you go? Can you go through that again? Can you keep giving away first seconds and then say the cupboards are bare in 3 or 4 years? Like, I mean, are we giving up another first round pick? I mean, because the prices are going to be extremely high.
I think you absolutely can if they think it's going to help them win a Stanley Cup. I'm not even saying it's the right move necessarily, but everything we've seen from Jim Rutherford says he has no problem doing that, right?
Les Snead stuff, right?
Yeah. All right. Now, we really can't let you go, Rick, before we find out. Have you stocked up on normal size bananas since we last talked?
Donnie, what did I have today? Yeah, I had a good one today. Big size. No, hold on a second. Yeah.
Well, when you hold it with the peel like that, yeah. That looks identical to the one last week that you were saying was too small.
No, this one is
it.
It is the same one.
No, it's big. No, this one's big. This one's big. It was a big one. I like the big ones.
A Magnum banana.
Stop right there.
All right. Time to let everyone go before we all get fired. Thanks for doing this, fellas. Again, it's Don Taylor, Rick Dhaliwal.
Get on your bike. Get on your bike, Thomas. Get on your bike.
I'll give you a call,
Thomas.
buddy.
You can check them out Monday to Friday on Check TV 10 to noon, and they join us here for the crossover every Wednesday.
I called him on my bike.